Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I am revisiting this Garvee portable air conditioner. Now this thing is a 14,000 BTU portable air conditioner. I did a review on it and I did say that you could probably power it off grid with no problem whatsoever. Well, I tried it and I ran into an issue. I want to find out what exactly you need in order to power something like this Garvee. So let's get started. Okay, so I have a simple setup back here which I thought would be able to power it with no problem. And I'm gonna guess that it won't. What I have is a 2000 watt inverter from Top Bowl. And this inverter, you know, I would say I wasn't very impressed with it. I don't even know if it could power 2000 watts before shutting off. But I wanted to start with this because I think anything below 2000 is just a waste of time. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to step up to a more robust 2000 watt inverter. And then from there, I'm probably going to see if I have a 2500 watt, or if I don't, I'll bump it up to a 3000 watt to see if that can do it. And if the inverter can do it, will the battery that I have be able to do it? This is a 12.8 volt, 120 amp hour red ODO lithium iron phosphate battery. Now it can do 120 amps of continuous, no problem. And I actually tested it with 135 amps, and it could run that for a few minutes with no problem either. The documentation says that it can do 600 amps for a second. So hopefully the battery can power this unit and we're just going to be working with the inverter. But if we have a problem with the battery, I'll bump that up as well because I want to find out what the minimum is to be able to power this monster 14,000 BTU portable air conditioner. As you can see, I don't have any of the Windows stuff plugged in or anything like that. I don't care. All I want to know is, will this thing actually start up? Let's plug it in. The air conditioner turns on and it does its self-check. And this doesn't take any amperage whatsoever. As you can see, I do have a voltmeter and an amp clamp going on over here. So right now the battery's at 13.29 and our amps are at about 1.3 amps, which is used to power the inverter. But let's find out if this inverter will actually power this unit. So we are going to put it, actually I'm just going to turn it on. It's on 68 degrees, auto and cool. And it cannot do it. Actually, and there it went, it shut off. The inverter, this inverter can't do it. I saw the voltage drop down to like 12.8, but you know what? I never captured the amount of amps that are trying to be drawn out. So let me go ahead and change it to capture max. Okay. The unit is resetting. Turned it all the way down to 64. The AC part of this is not turned on yet. All right, this thing is not cooling. So I'm turning it off. Okay, turn on and allow 3 to 5 minutes before cooling begins. So let's turn it on. Starts up. All right, well, it tried it again, and the amperage shot up to 125 amps before the inverter just gave up the ghost and could not pull it off. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this inverter out with a more robust 2000 watt inverter, and we're going to see if that one works. All right, now we're going to try a little bit more robust of a 2000 watt inverter, but it's still a high frequency. A low frequency probably wouldn't have an issue, but these high frequencies will because they just don't have the capacitive power. So we're going to go ahead and plug this in, and the Garvee will probably remember its settings and just try to start up again. So let's go ahead and try it. All right, Garvee is on. Battery is at 13.26 volts, and right now there is really no amperage. The inverter before that was 125 amps. So we'll see if it will pull more than that or if it will just stop working as well. And look at that. This LEESKY inverter started it right up. And coupled with that 120 amp hour battery, it seemed like I had no problems. The amperage shot up to 210 amps. So if you multiply 12.7 times 210 amps, that equals 2,677 watts that this inverter was able to pull just for that moment. And that's perfect. That's what inverters should do. A 2,000 watt inverter should pull 4,000 watts for like a second. And this one was able to do it. You know what? I'm happy to say that a 2,000 watt inverter, if it's of good quality, can start up a 14,000 BTU portable air conditioner. But that startup capacity is going to be massive. It's almost 2,700 watts. But just for fun, I'm gonna go and hook up a 3,000 watt inverter and we'll see if it can pull it off. Okay, now I have a 3,000 watt high frequency inverter from MWXNE. Now this is my main go-to when it comes to 3,000 watt inverters, and that LEESKY I used is my go-to for 2,000 watt inverters because I feel like they always power whatever I need. So I don't have any question that this will be able to power this air conditioner, but I do want to know if for some reason the amperage draw will be more or less. All right, before I start this up, our voltage on our battery is 13.22, so still very good. And the amperage, the high amperage right now is at 3.4 amps. That's just what this inverter uses to keep powered at its maximum idle. So let's go ahead and power on the unit at 64 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're gonna watch these numbers right here. And look at that, 267.6 amps were pulled from this Garvee on startup. Now you'll notice before that this time, since I shut it off, it powered right up, which is different from the 2,000 watt inverter that I had on here. So honestly, I don't think the 2,000 watt inverter would be able to do that, like start it up right off the bat. So let's try it again because the inverter would always shut off. So let's act like the inverter couldn't do it and just power it off, I think. So that would represent like a power outage or something like that. And we'll go ahead and turn it back on. All right, and the Garvee is starting back up. Let's reset everything. All right, and now we're back to this where it's going to take about 3 minutes for this thing to actually kick back on. So once it kicks on, we'll see what the amp draw is. But the amp draw, when it first tries to start up, that was 267 amps. So if you multiply 12.8 volts by 267 amps, you're looking at 3,417 watts. And that's honestly, that's really pushing a 2,000 watt inverter with a 4,000 watt peak. I would definitely go 3,000 watt inverter for an AC of this size. It should be clicking on any second now, so let's capture it. All right, and that time it jumped up to 227.9 amps. So that's a big amp draw. All right, well, I really hope that this video gave you a little bit of insight if you want to power a 14,000 BTU portable air conditioner. And, you know, I'm not an AC guy. I don't know if this Garvee is just hogging a lot of power by pulling 260 to 270 amps from a 12 volt system. I don't believe it's like an inverter AC, like it has like an inverter in it for being able to handle that surge. But really what I wanted to find out is, in a pinch, if the power goes out, what do I need in order to power this beast? Do I need a 2,000 watt inverter or a 3,000 watt inverter? And in my findings, I believe you need at least a 2,500 watt inverter, but I would go with a 3,000 watt inverter and a battery that can handle it. This red Odeo, I'm pretty happy with. It's a, it's a 12 volt, 120 amp hour, which means it has 120 amp BMS inside, but it could handle that surge, that 267 amp surge. This battery handled it just fine. So if you just need an air conditioner for like an hour, you can just get one of these. But if you need one that's gonna run like 8 hours, you're gonna need 4 or 5 or 6 of these batteries. So I really hope this video gave you just a little bit more information on what you can run. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions about what I did, please go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'll have a link to these items in my description, just in case you want to look further into them. Thanks again, and have a great day. Bye-bye.